I just finished a video about some other crap, but I meant to talk about the news and how I'd been avoiding it for a couple of days. It got away from me, so here I am again. Yeah, I inadvertently avoided looking at news for a couple of days or following any of the top stories. I'm sure we've had like 3 or 4 more shootings since then. But one thing I noticed, man, is that it's improved my mood. Because when I look at the stories of what's happening in the world, even if I try not to let it, it makes me kind of angry. Especially when you can see the reality of what's happening, and the cheesiness of the way they try to present things and put things into the public, and it's frustrating because you can see what they're doing, and it's like the Cassandra thing, you just have to stand there and watch. But missing it for a couple days, staying away from a few days, has made things like way more relaxed, way more chill. The anger isn't there, it's just not there. I've been a lot enjoying the past couple days, just thinking about frivolous stuff, and made me think about how severe that can psychologically affect people when they have to hear about that. And it used to be like, for a lot of people, it was required viewing every day along with the newspaper. And it's kind of interesting that, well, here's how it works. They want to farm like a lot of well, they're always farming, but what the news used to do, especially in the old time, the long ago, when they put it on at 6 o'clock in the evening, families are home around dinner time. So what they do is they have a lot more eyes, or they did back when TV was a lot more important in society. They always had the 6 o'clock news on, right? So what it does is it gets all these people to possibly react to something they're putting on the screen. Like, and a lot of times it's just made up shit. Like, this woman got murdered, or they'll tell some awful story. Now what happens is all those eyes, all those people, all at once go like, oh, and they get this terrible feeling, or they feel bad. That creates a low vibrational frequency in a large amount. It's a large boost that they get every day at 6 o'clock. And what they probably found, and I'm certain that what they did find, is that the worse the news, or the more tragic the story, the more of a reaction they get. And they want low vibrational reactions. They want sadness, they want fear, because they're more digestible. A higher vibration, they can't digest. If it's too high, they can't digest it at all. That's why they hate laughter, because laughter is the highest vibrational activity that your body can do. And like I always say, that evil doesn't like being mocked. It's really more about the laughter. They don't like laughter. So what this would do is every day at 6 o'clock, they'd get a big jolt of energy, because it was food for them. So as American and people across the world, because it's the same thing in a lot of other countries, when they sit down and have their dinner to eat, the farmers would be eating as well, because they get the jolt of the low vibrational energy coming to them. And as time goes on, they would get darker and darker stories. But then it seemed to plateau. So around the 1970s, you started seeing serial killers and child murderers. And then it would be 6 o'clock in the evening, and you have, kids sitting there with their family, and then they'd go into detail. The body of a 6-year-old boy was found dismembered. His head was removed. Now, Outside of that news story, a family is not going to get that kind of talk in their own house. They're not going to hear that kind of stuff. Like, she was raped 15 times and child prostitution, all this awful shit that would normally never be talked about in any decent home is now beaming in there every day at 6 o'clock. You know, just this awful shit. So serial killers became popular to report because, and they were made specifically for news reports. There's a lot of evidence in the schizo community that's come out over the years that almost all of these serial killers are complete stories. Very famously, one of the Podesta brothers, not the hot shit don't you guy, but the other fatty, he has a sculpture of a victim from the serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. He was a cannibal. They're going to make them worse and worse, you know. So he was a gay guy, he was eating the balls, and this comes into your house at 6 in the afternoon. Everybody goes, and then they get, So it had been pointed out that in his art collection, he had a sculpture of one of the victims. They had found one of the victims in a weird state where she was bent in some completely unnatural way. He was like, I'll find a picture of it and I'll put it up here. But they claim to have found him like this. What I think, right? And then, so this guy was such a fan of Dahmer, I guess, the Podesta guy. Like, how do you, even in a normie kind of way, how do you explain this? Like, he has a sculpture in his house of this horrific backwards gymnastics murder victim from a homosexual cannibal guy. It's like, how do you even explain that? Why would he have that in his house? Well, in my opinion, the sculpture existed before the fake murder. He didn't get the sculpture based off the Dahmer victim. The sculpture came first, and it was added into the Dahmer victim story, as these are all tales. They are all stories designed to get horrific words and horrific thoughts and low vibrational bullshit into people's houses, because it's the only way they would. TV was just invented for that. It wasn't like, oh, we want to entertain the masses. No, it's a way for the government to get in your house. I mean, before that, you know, you'd be, whatever, maybe you worked in a local factory or a town or village, but you were mainly at home with your family. A lot of people homestead. They're homesteaders. How often would the government come to your house and try to poison your minds? They really couldn't. They had to get in your house. And that's where TV comes in. They got there first at radio. But the one thing about them is that they have no willpower or self-control. If they get like a hit, they're going to push that button a million times. So they have to keep making it more and more elaborate. This is a hallmark. If ever you want to know what the deal is on a situation, you can always look for that kind of paradigm. It wasn't enough to get the radio in there. They had to get the TV in there. Then they did the 6 o'clock news thing. That's why TV, I mean, in the 70s, it was always about, oh, TV violence and, you know, how you can murder people. Here's the deal with that, right? All the murder and killing and stuff in movies. When you watch that, you watch a guy get gunned down, okay? Your brain, which I don't think has much to do with you, the electronic being from Mattel, the electric-based person you are doesn't have much to do with your mind. Your mind runs runs the avatar, and it also fucks with you. It's like a lot of bad stuff. It retains your subconscious, but that's a whole nother rabbit hole. So when you see a guy getting shot and murdered, your brain doesn't differentiate between the TV and here on the street. The memory, okay, that gets stored is the guy getting shot, not the guy getting shot on a TV screen The TV screen doesn't come into it. So what you're doing is you're traumatizing yourself, seeing all these murders, all this bullshit. Your brain saves these memories, and it does not differentiate between something you watch on TV or a movie and something that you see in the real world. It just doesn't. It simply doesn't save that, the screen around it. Like when you think of a memory, even like when you just think of it yourself, like someone getting murdered in like a horror movie. When you think of the memory of it, you don't think of the theater you're sitting in, or you don't think of the image with a screen around it or a TV around it. You think of the image as it appeared, as you saw it. So you're watching all this fucking murder constantly. This is trauma. It's trauma. But trauma is one of the very important foundations of mind control. To control you, they got to traumatize you first. It makes your brain a lot more malleable, because you get like a sort of, not even a flight or fight, but you get that fear state. When you're in a fear state, you're a lot softer. You know, you're a lot more open to suggestion. You know, come here in the bushes, we'll get you away from whatever horror you're witnessing. Oh yeah, okay. Oh wait, there's a priest in here. Oh my God. So you know what I mean? It's like you're easier to mold. It's all about mind control. It's all about farming. But yeah, so getting the TV in there and getting the news in there. This is also, you can hear and see horrific things. And the more traumatized you are, the more susceptible you are to the mind control techniques, which are then applied on top of it. You know, it's a farm. It's a big farm with cattle, and they're trying to maximize the juice they got out of the squeeze. And that's it. That's everything's kind of surrounded around that. Everything's weaponized towards you. It's pretty fucked. But good thing, good news, just being aware of this, okay, gets you some immunity to it. Not doing anything about it, just the awareness is all you need. It's the magic trick situation. It's when you see the assistant give the magician the rabbit under his cape to pull out of the hat. When he pulls it out of the hat, you're like, oh, she just gave it to him. It's bullshit. In that same way, just the fact that you're hearing how your memories don't get split up between TV and looking at it in the real world, it has less of an effect on you. Just by knowing it, just by being aware of it. That's a good thing. We're much stronger and more resilient and more powerful than them. They're using really, really ratty tricks to farm us. They're using all these really, and they got to work really hard on it. Like that little trick alone. Rolling out TVs, getting them in all these houses. And again, like it's not like people were sitting in the back room doing this. It's just the system works through the people, the minions who are opened up spiritually to be able to do this kind of shit. And now they're, you know, the internet was good for a couple of years, but now it's becoming like TV again, pretty much. I mean, you know, people get banned for talking about things. You know, I get, what, 50 subscribers, I get banned. I, you know, lose a week here and there, always getting hit with copyright claims. And they made a couple of my videos were marked as not suitable for children, but I don't know. I just delete them. I don't really care. I'm not getting tied up with them. But yeah, so they're attempting to make the internet the same thing, you know. It's fine though, because now you know, right? Knowing is fucking more than half the battle. Sometimes it's the whole fucking battle. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.